Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm Peter Lavelle. Well, Donald Trump has been, he went into the hospital on Friday, so it's been a couple of days right now. And over the last news cycle, he has spoken to the public via social media, I presume, two different videos. One was about essentially informing the public his condition. He wanted people to see him, how he talked, how he reacted. I must say he looked a little tired, but it certainly was him. And in the second one, he's a little bit more pepped up, and he makes an astonishing claim, which of course the media, their hair are on fire right now, that he would pay a visit to what he called patriots here. What I think, George, of course, I'm joined by George. I found interesting both videos. Okay, this is the president of the United States is in the hospital. That is news in itself, all right? The fact that he's recuperating, and he's undergoing some kind of therapeutics. The fact that he's speaking to the public is odd in itself. I'm sure he had to say, I'm president of the United States and I'm going to talk to the public. But, both of the videos in my mind were very authentically Trump. And there was even, believe it or not, I'm going to use the word, some humility in one of them, where he said, he called it, I've been to school, meaning I've learned about this virus. It was very empathetic. He reached out to all people that have been affected by, and he said, this virus, call it what you want. Call it what you want. Well, that's kind of interesting all by itself, okay? And he even used the word bipartisan, something that Trump doesn't usually do very much. All I'm trying to say, and the reason why I wanted to do this is that, you could go to one extreme and say this is just a campaign ploy. Maybe it is. I won't dismiss that out of hand. But also, it may, like I said, shows a little bit of humility on his part. The country and the world has been grappling with this pandemic in one way or another for a good part of the year. And now he is front and center, which of course Trump loves to be, is front and center, particularly since the election is less than a month away. Much ado about nothing, George. Am I making something that isn't there?
Well,
I can see the skepticism in your eyes.
I am a little skeptical, but you may be right. You may have seen something that I failed to see. The problem is that Trump really doesn't do warm and fuzzy, empathetic, sympathetic very well. He's not that sort of person. He's a person who is the tough guy. He's somebody who he gives it to you straight. He's the stern daddy, rather than the warm mommy who will kind of give you a nice little cup of tea to make you feel better. He's not like that. And I think that when he went out yesterday to greet his supporters, that was classic Trump.
Right.
And everybody's, of course, screaming, hair on fire. Oh, my God, he's going out. He's supposed to be convalescing. He's highly contagious and he's endangering everyone's lives. Look at these poor Secret Service people. Look what he's doing to them. He knew he would get that response. But I think that he did that precisely because he's the tough guy. He sees himself as the tough guy, not somebody that you want to feel sorry for. He does, he doesn't do lying in bed, intravenous device attached to him, and I think that's right for him. I mean, he's a leader. I mean, I think that's what leaders have to do. Leaders have to show that they're upfront, that they're taking risks, and yes, go on.
But I think he's trying to have it both ways at the same time. I think that's what's kind of fascinating here, because he's controlling the narrative. He's controlling what well, to a degree, he's controlling what people are saying about him. Of course, he knew that if he goes out with the Secret Service and he's got a mask on, that, and probably gloves for all we know, I don't know, that he was going to get that reaction. And he doesn't care about those people anyway, so it doesn't matter. What he did was he was addressing his supporters, saying, I'm here, things are moving forward, I haven't missed a heartbeat, I admit I have been afflicted by this virus, but I'm going to get through it. And like you said, he has to show that he is strong and that he's in control. I mean, everybody, even his detractors, want to know somebody's in charge, even if you may disdain that person. Okay, so I think that's very important. But I mean, as we get closer to the end of this campaign, it seemed to me that Trump is trying to reinvent that campaign, kind of move things around, shake it up a bit, okay? And I think he did. I mean, this morning I saw that video, don't hold me to it, but it had something like 600,000 clicks just on that video. And I don't know how many times it's been shared. And now it's just like way over 1 million. I mean, this made impact. I mean, more people watch that video than watches CNN in a week, okay? So, right. I mean, this is also being effective here. My major takeaways is that he wants to continue to control the narrative, which he hasn't done a very good job over the last few months. And you and I have talked about this repeatedly. And I went to school. I mean, that really hit me here, meaning I understand what this virus is. Does that mean, unlike someone like Joe Biden? I don't know if that was his implication here, but one could certainly read into it. As a matter of fact, you can read, like me, you can read a lot into these two videos if you want.
Yeah. Well, when he said that I've been about it, you can take it whichever way you want. I mean, you could say, boy, now I've really experienced the hell that COVID is. That doesn't work well for him. I mean, what the attack on him has been, he hasn't taken it very seriously. If he then says, yeah, I was wrong not to take it seriously, I think that
he didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. And I think that when he says, well, I'm going to say more about it, he really has to say, yeah, but basically I got it right. It's not stage 4 cancer. It's not the bubonic plague. You get it. It's unpleasant for a few days, you recover. Look at me, and I've done that. And I think that has to be his message. And it's the only way that this could work to his advantage, that, he's strong, he got this illness, and what's important, unlike Biden, he didn't cower in his basement. He didn't avoid human contact. He did it because he has courage. He says, okay, fine, come and get me, COVID. And I think that works to his advantage. I mean, I was looking at old footage of General Gaggle, who was a victim of I don't know how many assassination attempts. And whenever that happened, you always saw de Gaulle always standing up, head held high, always saying to the assassin, "Okay, I'm here. Come and get me." I'm not going to be cowering under a desk somewhere or fleeing from crowds. You want me? I'm here. And I think that's I think what you expect from leaders. Yes, it's a risk, and he could easily have been shot, just like Trump took a risk. He could have died, but you kind of need that from leaders.
Yeah, I think we'll wind up on this here. I think it's just quite fascinating because I think in his mind, and maybe the people, I was going to say handlers, but no one handles Trump. People in his orbit, his calculation is, I'm here. I have the virus. I'm being treated, but I'm going to make lemonade from lemons. Okay, I'm here. I'm going to take advantage of it. And you know what? This was red meat for his base. I mean, and it wasn't for one stadium. It wasn't for one crowd. It wasn't for one city. This was, not only national, but international. Okay. And it's Trump taking the campaign by the horns and trying to narrative again, which I've said obviously before, is that he's failed to do that. So it's kind of interesting. The first video believe it or not, I saw as part of a CNN report, oh my God, those people need to go to a hospital after they watched it. I just like, oh my God, they're going to have to invent something like, some kind of anti heart attack medicine, and it's going to be called, because you've contracted Trumpitis. Okay. These people in left-wing media, they're so easily triggered. I thought they were all going to go into the fetal position after they saw that video.
Yeah. The funny thing is that he has taken the risks. As I say, he should take risks. Biden, who I think has behaved utterly worthlessly. I mean, exactly the kind of leader that you want. I mean, somebody who's cowering in the basement, somebody who's terrified of going out and meeting people. You don't want that. The polls, the latest NBC Wall Street Journal poll has Biden 14 points ahead. Now, either this is just nuts, these polls are just completely meaningless, or America is no longer the country it once was. That's one or the other. But you can't just simply sit in your basement and be 14 points ahead. I mean, that just simply defies something.
Well, I'll end on this note, George. I mean, if Trump wins, then there's going to have to be a serious congressional investigation into the polling companies, because enough is enough. Okay.
High time. High time, incidentally. Yes.
All righty. Thank you, George Szamuely, for being co-hosting this podcast with me here as a co-founder. And if you like the Gaggle, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, we have much, much more ahead.